Shut up, compressor. Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models, and welcome to one of those what's next kind of videos. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for me it feels like 2020 has kind of bled into 2021. It probably has to do with the fact that there's still a pandemic, a lot of people are still waiting on vaccines, political chaos, the freak winter storm that just descended on Texas and shut everything down for a week, and we still don't have water. Very 2020 right there. So, yeah, it just seems to have kept going. And in my modeling, it's been the same way, where the P40F was something that was going hot and heavy toward the end of 2020, all the way into mid-February of this year. So now that that's done and dusted and all the videos are out and all the final pics are out and I've thrown the box away, it feels like I can finally start on 2021, at least from a modeling perspective. But what does that mean? So my main modeling goal for 2021 is to really push myself and learn and develop and kind of break out of various comfort zones. And I have several plans to do that. So let's go through the big three and then we'll get to what kits are coming next. Okay, so first, I want to step on my armor game something fierce. This came about basically as I was working on the Ryefield T-3485 late last year and realized that I was falling into traps that I fell into with pretty much every other previous armor build, including jumping into mud and other particulate weathering too quickly, getting to a situation where tones all sort of crush towards the middle and towards the darker end. And it made me think I need to step back and I need to really play with sort of creative intent and artistic vision and where I want to take these builds and how to do that. And I need to maybe play with some techniques that I sort of dabbled in and dismissed before and really understand sort of what different levers I have to pull to take my armor to another level. And so something that's going to be going on throughout the course of the year, and I'm not really ready to blow out all the full details of it yet because I want to make it a whole big thing, and I'm still sort of thinking it through in my head. But basically it's going to involve building 7 different tanks. All different kinds of tanks. I was going to do just one tank 7 times, 7 different ways, basically. But I tried that, and I realized that by the time I got to number 2 or 3, I would just be sick of that kit, even if it was a great kit. And better to do 7 completely different random ass tanks. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm slowly working on those kind of throughout the days when I get stuck on a project at work and I'm trying to think of the right phrase or the right word. It's nice just to sit there and put a couple parts together, clear my mind, get those tanks done, and at the same time, work more productively. Bonus. But that means that it's going to take a little while to get these together. I've currently got 2 of them together, and this last week with all the snowpocalypse stuff just shut all production down on that for a little while. So, I don't know, next few months I should have something ready to go, and it's going to be a lot of fun when it is ready to go. So, stay tuned there. Second thing is figures. So, I tried dabbling in figures a bit in 2020, and I kind of jumped the gun. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing when it comes to figures at all, but I want to learn. And so I picked up the new and really fantastic AK FAQ on figure painting. And I've been kind of flipping through it and reading it as I get a chance. And I basically want to read it through, absorb all of it, and then start going through and earmarking things I want to try on my own. And identifying figures that I want to try it with. And one that I'm probably going to start with is over here, is this Lilith figure from Bold Miniatures. Mainly because I've got the STL files and I can print a few copies and just mess around and learn and play and try different things on the same thing and see what works and what doesn't. But I also love that, Bold Miniature stuff is fantastic. It's detailed, it's interesting, it's not the typical stuff that you see, especially of female busts where usually they are a bit out of proportion or something that I'd probably be ashamed to show to my kids. This is, much more whimsical and fun, and it's a good fantasy figure. So, yeah, I'm going to be working on my figure skills, which are currently pretty much non-existent, and trying to really get that up and moving, because I think that'd be a fun thing to do. And I've, for the first time last year, got really bitten by the bug to attempt figures, which has never really interested me before. So that's the second thing. Third thing is 3D printing and 3D design. And this is something that, again, I've wanted to get into for quite some time. And just, I would dabble occasionally and wander away. I had a Anycubic Photon for a while and literally never took it out of the box because I was too intimidated with the setup process and the learning process to really give it a full go. And it's little things that you don't think about once you're printing, because once you go through it at once or twice or a couple times, you start to understand the process. But you just kind of have to jump off a bridge and do it the first time. So I've been investing in printers. I've been investing in resin. I've been investing my time in learning this shit. I've acquired enough STLs to let me go for probably a good few years with printing and building things. And I'm looking really forward to it. Again, that's something that I kind of like set up and let run during the day while I'm working. So I'll, after my morning status meeting, I'll have preloaded files on a USB stick. I stick it in the printer, set it to go, ignore it until later. And it's slow going. These things take hours to print, especially bigger parts. Like, we're talking upwards of like 8, 10, 12-hour prints. And so it's kind of cool that you can make your own models, basically. Like this is the only one I've got close at hand to the bench, and it's a failed print, so you'll have to forgive me. Well, hell, I've got this figure, this printed on a 3D printer. I'm also working on a 1/48 scale tie interceptor, and this is from a water washable resin that I really don't like. But you can see, that even with the shittiness of the print, the detail is pretty nice. And it's cool that I can print this in 1/48, or if I want to, I could even scale it up to 1/32. But, learning the ins and outs of printing things, and then taking those printed things and turning them into a finished build. That is something else that is kind of going on in the background, in parallel with my regular bench time. And they haven't really intersected yet, but they will. I also want to learn 3D design, so designing my own shit to print. Right now it's been STL files from third parties, and I've done a couple of modifications in places that have basically helped me figure out the very basics of Fusion 360 and Mesh Mixer and things like that. But I want to go beyond that and actually this cockpit sucks, I'm going to make my own cockpit. Like, I want to get to that level. And that probably won't happen this year, but I want to start on that path. So those are my 3 big learning experiment goal things. And they're all going to be going on. And at some point, they will probably all find their way into the videos. And we'll have a lot of fun swearing at them and talking about them and that kind of thing. But in the meantime, I'm still building injection plastic aircraft. So what's next? Well, do you want to build a Lightning? Because I do. So first up is going to be a Trumpeter 1/32 scale P38L Lightning. I've already done a test fit of this thing, and it's not amazing, but it's definitely not bad, and it's nowhere near as daunting as I've heard. I mean, this is a test fit with just clipping these things off the sprues, not really cleaning them up aside from just what I had to do to make it all fit together. And it all fits together, kind of. So this is really more of a build to build the cockpit up and test some interesting new cockpit detail products. But I'm definitely holding the door open to build the whole fucking thing. And I'll kind of make that decision when the time comes. I'm not really sure yet what I want to do, if I want that to happen or not. But it's possible that this thing will go well beyond the cockpit and actually turn into a full 1/32 scale Lightning. But that's not the only thing I'm going to be working on. I'm also going to be working on Tamiya's 1/48 scale P38F. I know it's an FG, but the one I've picked out to build is an F. Anyway, that will be coming along as well, and it's going to be lightning time for a while at the bench. So yeah, at this time, I haven't really decided how I'm going to handle these from a video perspective. And this is where I'm actually looking for some input and what y'all would like to see. I have the option to do them, full build all the way through, extensive episodes, multiple episodes, kind of like I've done with the P47M, the A6 Intruder, the P40, or I can do more of like a digest installment thing of like, here's where I'm at, here's where I'm going. Kind of like I did with the Pony Bash. Which one would you rather see? Would you rather see longer episodes? Would you rather see shorter episodes? Do you want to see all this stuff actually happening, or do you want to hear highlights more and see just critical areas? What do you want to see? I'm curious because I'm kind of doing these in a bit of a feedback vacuum aside from the comments on YouTube and on Facebook and things like that, which don't really get into the nitty-gritty of the production design of this. So feel free to comment away on that. Now, in terms of what I want to get out of these aircraft, with the Tamiya P40, doing it again, with the Tamiya P38, I really want to push the olive drab and neutral gray as far as I can into the interesting, dirty, beat to shit, and awesome category. And I've got plenty of reference photos of P38Fs and various other early P38s where the olive drab is all over the place. And in some cases, it even looks like it's fading to like a brown color. And I want to bring that out as much as I can in the build. So that is my idea with that. With this big old, it's now covered in aftermarket, with this big old Trumpeter thing, I don't know yet. I'm honestly still trying to land on my specific aircraft. I know that this is an L, and for some reason, even though more Ls were made than any other variant of the P38, finding good photos of Ls, really difficult. Finding good markings of Ls, also really difficult. So I'm considering backdating it to a P38J, which from what I understand involves getting rid of the wingtip landing light and relocating it underneath the wing somewhere. It involves getting rid of the, I'm holding it the wrong fucking way, getting rid of these compression flaps up under the wings, and I believe these are like upgraded fuel pumps or something, also need to go. That's pretty much it. So I don't really want to get in there and destroy detail and have to rescribe, but fuck, I might have to. Now the flaps aren't that big of an issue because apparently they came in with the P38J25. So there's a bunch of them out there where that might still work. Although the one that I'm eyeing, I believe, is a J10. So we'll see. I may also just decide, fuck it, I'm going to build as a J, but it's going to look like an L, and, I'll let the accuracy fiends hem and haw about that, and let the people who don't care just go on not caring. So, yeah, because I don't have a scheme picked out, I don't really know what I want to do with it yet. One that I'm looking at is an olive drab scheme, and if I pick that one, it would be with the idea of making something that is also weathered and beat to shit and tired, that is also olive drab and neutral gray, but that still looks different from the Tamiya kit. I want to see what different directions I can push the olive drab concept in. If I don't do that, if I do a bare metal, it will be doing a really cool looking bare metal scheme, basically. My fear is it's a fucking Trumpeter kit. It's gonna have filler. It's gonna need extra attention to support a bare metal scheme. And honestly, I haven't found a bare metal scheme that really leaps out at me, and I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to build that. Like a lot of P38 bare metal schemes are extremely boring. I'd love to find one that has the, that Pacific Theater banding thing on the wings where they've got the black bands on the wings. I'd love to build a P38 sporting those. I can't find one. All the decent decals, they're all for J's. But they're all nose art that I'm not really sure I want to go for. And the ones that I like, the nose art that I like, can't find them in 1/32. And there's a limit to what you can turn into masks and paint. And nose art is definitely in that category where it gets limited when you have very specific figures and whatnot. So still working on that. But as far as what's next, yeah, two P-38s, bunch of armor happening in the background, 3D printing happening in the background, figures happening in the background, and hopefully some warmer weather because, man, the last week was crazy. Yeah, temperatures in the single digits in Texas doesn't work out too well. So spring seems to be just around the corner. Maybe 2021 is finally actually really starting, and get ready for a bunch of fun lightning content to be hitting this channel in the near future. Oh, and one last thing. If you want to see advanced peeks of videos, if you want to see behind the scenes stuff, if you want to see coverage of like the figures and the armor and the 3D printing and things that I'm not really blasting out yet, you can go ahead and follow me on Patreon at patreon.com/DugsModels and throw in just a little bit to help support the channel, help, with audio, video, equipment, things, and all that good stuff. And that gets you all kinds of sneak peeks of what's going on, what I'm planning, what I'm thinking, and early access to new videos, early access to final picks, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to, cool, awesome. Links at the end of the video. If not, no worries. Keep watching and enjoying, and I will catch y'all later.